Hello and welcome to the 50th episode of When I Was Your Age, a podcast celebrating the careers, callings, and creativity of some friends of mine. I'm your host, Roland Parker, and as always, it's a joy, a pleasure, and a treat to have you here. Today's kind of a full circle moment. It's 50 episodes, so we wanted to bring back somebody from episode 1, my good friend Luke Wheat. He'll be joining us in the booth today. Before we bring Luke into the stream, a little bit of housekeeping as always. Make sure you follow the Instagram if you haven't done so already. So from episode 0 or episode 1 to now, we are at 1,626 followers, which means a lot. It's just a lot of community, a lot of people that we've touched from different areas of my life and their friends and their family and everything like that. It's been a really cool thing to get to witness over 50 episodes. So really awesome for all that. And I really appreciate it. If you're here for the first time, you can give us a follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and you can watch episodes on YouTube and Spotify if you're more in the visual game, if that's a little bit more your jam. All links to those places are available in the link tree in the Instagram bio. You can go head over there and kind of get a good rundown of all those places. Without further ado, we'll bring Luke into the stream. Luke, what's going on with you, brother? How you been?
What is up, my man? I've been good. Been living a busy part of the year for coaches and teachers, but it's been good, man.
I would kind of think so. What's the big headline in the past week or so for you?
Oh, past week we got done with Maryville College spring season, which kind of sets on top. My normal days are teach and then coach high school right now. And then Maryville College, whenever the spring season's in for 3 or 4 weeks, it sits right on top of there, settles nicely into the top. So we just got done. The boys and the girls played really well in their spring games, and we're looking forward to the fall season. Go Scots!
Go Scots! By God, we love to see it. Yeah, big year for the Scots loading, as you can imagine. Well, if you guys aren't already, make sure that you're following Luke on Instagram. We've got the @ up there in the stream. We'll have it added in the show notes as well. Luke, tell me about this and previous usernames. Have you had any crazy ones in the in the history?
Yeah, so FC Chelsea 20 was my first Gmail account, and that was because I like Chelsea, and my number was 20 because my older brother was 20 in basketball whenever I was younger, and I was like, all right, I'm going to be 20. And I was a goalkeeper that was the number 20, which you don't see a lot of. And I was promptly told no at Maryville that I could not be number 20.
What is the typical goalkeeper number? Is it
you want to be 0? One's the spot.
1.
And then 0 to 00 is kind of
nothing
the
in
order.
The 90s.
Yeah, there's actually Donnarumma. He's an Italian goalkeeper. He's one of those freaks that started Division I soccer at 16, but he's 6'7". So he's 99. Nice. And then off the top of my head, I want to think 47 is another one from a really famous keeper, but I'm not remembering that whose name it is right now.
Nice. I like that. I've always thought it's interesting, among different sports, what kind of positions gravitate to what numbers. And it seems like things have been kind of shaking up and changing. There's still a lot of traditions. I think, I kind of think of football or American football where, the linemen kind of stick around the 50s and 60s and 70s and stuff like that. But a lot of tradition breaking up, but nice. Love that. So did you ever get anybody confused? They're trying to reach the Chelsea manager email.
Yeah, no, I worked some deals out. They never got done, but they never passed the final inspection. But,
nice. They didn't get kicked over to finance.
Well, when I tried to buy Ronaldo, Messi, and Neymar, everybody was like, "Wait a second, that doesn't even make sense."
I don't think we could swing that. No.
Yeah,
that's
there is a certain salary cap almost.
Yeah, I would think. All right. Well, I've got some get to know you questions. We would have asked these or some semblance of these in the beginning. I don't know how much they've changed actually, but we'll go ahead and do it anyway. See if anything's changed for you. Where are you from, and where do you currently live?
From Knoxville, Tennessee, and Pikeville, Kentucky. I kind of claim both of them, and living in Alcoa, which is right next to Maryville in Tennessee right now. Yeah.
Nice. And what do you do?
I'm a teacher. I'm a high school Spanish teacher. I teach AP 4 honors and 3 Spanish. And I coach high school boys soccer and then coach the goalkeepers at Maryville College. Go Scots.
Excellent. Go Scots. How old are you?
28, gonna turn 29 this year. 96,
Nice.
baby.
96, baby. Legends are born in August.
That's right.
What piece of media are you currently enjoying? So book, podcast, music, TV show. What's been kind of occupying your free time?
Yeah, I think you've roomed with me before. I think you know I crush YouTube. Just absolutely light it up on the YouTube numbers. And but right now on the drive to work, I'm listening to the Slide In podcast with Kelly Gallup
Okay.
and his I can't remember who his co-host is, who's the filmer, but also a great fisherman. But it's fly fishing because
Okay.
Brody's got my buddy Brody that Roland knows has got me into fly fishing. So
Nice.
learning all the knowledge I can.
Excellent. Yeah. You lean heavily into the algorithm is one thing that I would
Yeah.
say about Luke is he
Yeah.
does it that does a deep dive head first and feet first.
I let it take me. I let
Yeah, all at once.
Brother, here I am.
Yeah. That's an apt description, I would say.
Yeah.
What's something that you would consider a luxurious necessity?
Right now, an espresso machine.
Okay. All
An
right, tell me about
espresso
that.
machine. Yeah, so Spencer Ann and I moved in together last May, and I don't know if it was like an economics type thing, like we need to have espresso at home so we're not spending so much on coffee out because I'm as much as YouTube as I watch, I drink more coffee probably. The kids at school make fun of me for it. And yeah, I think it kind of bled from that. And then lo and behold, the YouTube algorithm, I figured out that you need a good grinder and that you need a good espresso machine to make good coffee at home and good beans on top of that. And so, yeah, so I make an Americano pretty much every morning. And then I make Spencer Ann a iced latte every morning. So I'm the barista of the household as well.
Nice. Yeah, we always see. One time I didn't know at Maryville, I didn't know what an Americano was, but I got up there and I like deviated from my normal like order at the C store. Which they have decent coffee. They're using Vienna coffee and stuff like that. And I went off script for my normal order. I was like, I can get Americano. Like I like coffee and stuff. But when I drank it, I was like, oh, I don't think I know what this is at all. And now I'm clued in.
Yeah.
And I like a sparkling Americano. Like I like
Oh, yes.
a little bubbles to it, or a tonic even.
Nice. Do you know the difference between a long black and an Americano?
No.
So,
I feel like when you say it, I'm gonna remember, but I couldn't produce it in this moment. Tell me.
okay. So an Americano is water first, and long black is water second. And an Americano keeps the crema on top more because you can pour it closer on top of the water, whereas the water dissipates it. And a long black is popular in New Zealand and Australia.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very good. And what is it when you order your espresso and then like a little bit of soda water like with it? Is it like a sidecar, I want to say? Does that sound right?
Kind of. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but that's very traditional like way to serve it. And then the Biscoff, I don't know if that's like a fancy thing us Americans do or if that's typical as well. I'm not sure. But yeah, Brody and Hannah got me a little coffee book, so I'm trying to make all the ratios correct.
Nice.
So it's 90 milliliters of water and 30 of espresso. So, or 60. Oh, now I'm forgetting.
Very good. Well, we'll have to
algorithm. Here we come.
deep dive loading.
Yeah.
Do you have any bits that you're doing, running jokes with you and Spencer Ann or friends or things like that just kind of keep coming up for you?
Yeah. Right now, there's a rap group called Rap in quotation marks because they're from Pikeville, Kentucky, where I'm from, in the mountains. It's called Bluegrass Swagger, and one of their lyrics says, "I'm so Pike County, it's a problem." And so, me and Matt pretty much say that anytime something goes wrong, or what have you. So yeah, that, and you started one in our
Oh, did I?
at the bachelor trip.
Oh, well, what
You
was it?
said, I forget what was happening, but anything that anybody said, like, yeah, I like the Cubs a lot. I think they'll do well this year. And you were like, that is something I have always said.
Yeah. And that's something that I've always said. Yeah,
I've
that's
always
been
said that.
that's a big one for me. I have found it funny to like say that in response to stuff that like you clearly have like just never said before or
Just
never
no
even
clue. Yeah.
never given thought to. That's a funny one for me. I definitely like that. But yeah, I'm so
Crushes in the classroom.
yeah,
Crushes in the
guys.
classroom.
Something that I've always said. I'm so Pike
It's
County.
like we're talking about Picasso. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm so
Wernick is a
Pike County
real
is a problem.
symbol for the Hispanic. No.
No, we love that. Yeah, I didn't get like the full backstory for the Bluegrass Swagger. I was getting bits and pieces. I was like in the kitchen when you guys were talking about it in like the living room, like on the bachelor trip.
Yeah.
But I gathered enough to know that
Yeah.
it meant a lot to you. So I was glad to be a part of it, if only in an adjacent sense.
Absolutely. And
But
that's what I would say for everybody that's not from Pikeville, is to keep them at an adjacent stance.
yeah,
It would probably be the best.
that's good. I think that's a little bit similar to, and I couldn't name the group, but do you remember the song about Maryville that was like, I'm from Maryville City? Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
like that, it's the same kind of genre of like, like super local
Yeah.
musical groups
Yeah.
where they're, repping the 423 or
It's like you're
so
probably not gonna know.
yeah.
Not gonna know it if you're not from there. That's what I
Yeah,
was joking with Matt. That's another joke I've been doing with him, is little known artist, because we were talking about Bluegrass Swagger, and then Matt's from Atlanta, and I was like, "Oh, Gucci Mane, that little hometown artist from
yeah.
Atlanta." It's like, little known artist.
Yeah. That's funny. Gucci Mane is from Alabama,
Oh,
actually.
what?
Yes.
Dang.
Yeah, originated. He probably carries more weight in Atlanta if I were to guess. Yeah, that's probably a lot more lyrics
The East
associated
Atlanta
with Atlanta.
Santa got me then.
Yeah,
He
it's
tricked me.
branding, and that's
Yeah.
something that I've always said.
Yeah. Amen.
All right. Next question here is, what song would you replace the national anthem with? Wait, what song would you use to replace the national anthem? Any song on your playlist, could be, an old song that you downloaded on LimeWire or anything like that. What song kind of comes to mind for you? I know what your original answer is in episode 1, but I'm interested to see if you'll go the same direction or pick a new one.
This is the best part about me, is that I forget what I think a lot. So it's always good to know what I'm going to come up with next, because I don't even know.
You're living a new life every day.
Every day. Every day. I want to just say my gut shot one, like
Okay.
gut reaction, and that's just because it's the best I'm going to do. Party anthem. Party rockers in the house tonight.
Oh yeah, that's great. I'll tell you,
it's
that
kind
was
of
not
a sick one.
Yeah, that's good. We're definitely adding it to the playlist. It was not your original answer. Do you know what your original answer was?
This was this 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Or was this a year and a half ago? If it was a year and a half ago or 2 years. Oh my gosh, I have no clue. What was it?
It was Tennessee Whiskey.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
God. Just hits.
It does.
I was gonna say Delirium Trigger by Coheed and Cambria, but that one's like a pretty hard rock song.
Yeah.
So.
Is that how something about the name is telling me that it's not like
Could
a
be long.
typical length of song. Like
Yeah.
how long? How
That
how
one's
long?
only 4.5 to 5
Okay,
minutes,
gotcha.
but
You're
some of their songs, they touch the 10-minute mark.
yeah. That's something that I think about with a lot of these answers is like how funny would it be if you had to stand up at like a football game or a baseball game like for the national anthem.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, "God, this is going on for quite a bit."
Yeah.
Uh, so that's funny. Also, shout out to you and Pat were in the first episode together,
Yes,
but Pat's
sir.
answer was My Humps by the
Oh,
Black Eyed
that's a
Peas.
good one.
Yeah, so and that's something that I think about often whenever I'm asking this question.
I've
So
always
that
said My Humps is the calling of our generation.
I've always said that if not for Francis Scott Key,
Yes.
then the Black Eyed Peas.
Dude, shout out Pat, by the way. The man's
Shout
crushing it. Yeah,
shout out to
absolutely
Pat.
crushing it.
Shout out to all of them over there at Keep Going. Love
Yeah,
seeing you guys continuing to grow and do everything over there. It's a big part of why we're doing this here on this podcast, and obviously big ties with the first
yeah,
episode. So very thankful for them and what they're doing and
yeah.
what it means to this show. Last question. We've touched on it already. How do we know each other?
Oh man, from Maryville College, go Scots! I think that's the fifth go Scots. So may get some more here.
Yeah, we need to add a
Um,
ticker.
yeah, right. We probably met. Did we meet at orientation, or would it have been sometime other time in freshman year?
I know that we definitely met like in freshman year and like
Yeah,
chatted and we're cordial and everything, but I don't think that we like
that doesn't sound like
w-
me. That's
right. That's right. Yeah, you were actually very standoffish. You were
yeah.
your body language was closed off to me. You were
Get away
crossing
from
your
me.
arms, you were turning away. No, I just remembered that you were like a super nice, super approachable guy, but
I
like we
appreciate
weren't
that.
necessarily like running in like the exact same circle. There was a lot of like
Yeah,
overlap and everything. Like we both lived in Gamble. But then we got randomly paired for as roommates to live on campus like over the summer.
yeah. On
And that
Court
was
Street
and then we did that every year.
every year. Yeah, run
Um
it back.
yeah. No, so that's great.
Court
Well,
Street days were great. Court
Court
Street
Street days
days were pretty
were great.
awesome.
That it's some of my fondest memories of Maryville College was just living there on the
Yeah,
summer, like just hanging out with you, goofing off, like working like the whole time,
old
and then
Moki.
yeah, it was a fun time, just slumming
Yes.
it out there. Um, okay, well, let's go into your story a little bit. So we've talked about coaching and teaching. I think we ought to spend a little bit of time touching on both.
Hmm.
But tell me about teaching because that was not necessarily what you set out to do with like your college degree. Obviously,
Yeah,
you were pursuing Spanish, and
yeah,
maybe you had some ideas about what that meant as a career. So tell me about when you were studying Spanish. What was it originally that you thought you were going to do?
yeah. So I probably I started freshman year of high school with Spanish, and funnily enough, it is like the only teacher that, not to say my teachers weren't great teachers in high school, but she's the only teacher that actually like held me accountable. And I was always pretty, I don't want to say smart, but I was able to pass tests, but I never did any homework, like ever. So my Spanish teacher in high school, shout out Senora Leisure, she was like, "Luke, you have not turned anything in, like at all. So I'm gonna have to fail you. Like I have to. I have no choice." And I was like, the classic 1 week left. I've got 35 assignments. Can I do every single one of these in the next week? Lo and behold, you can't do that.
Mm.
That's just not how numbers physically work. And so she failed me, and I took it again. And whenever I originally started out on Spanish, it was basically just to prove that I could do it. And I took again, kind of the algorithm aspect of it, and found like as many people that spoke Spanish as I could. And a couple of those guys were Panchito and Frankie in my town in high school, the Valencias. And we ended up being really good buddies, and they would teach me Spanish. So kind of fast forward to college, thought about maybe interpreting, maybe translating. Decided on Maryville because soccer and because I had study abroad. Did my study abroad junior year in Madrid, and just realized I was doing interpretation and translation classes, and I enjoyed it. But I had this kind of moment when my brother and his wife came to visit me, and I was interpreting for them the whole time they were there, and I was like, "This sucks." So I probably don't want to do this for a long time. And I still keep in touch. Yeah.
You weren't enjoying it when you were doing it for family. So like
Yeah.
probably not gonna
And that's probably
work out
best
in the
case
long run.
scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that's like, well, they're saying this, but I actually know exactly what they mean. And I still keep in touch with all those people from Spain. There quite a few of them are interpreting and translating at this moment. And it's something I've thought about trying to like dabble in, but it's pretty tough to actually just pick it up. You got to do a bunch of certifications for it and things like that. So yeah, I kind of landed on teaching because didn't want to give soccer up after college. Didn't want to give Spanish up like at all because it was the one thing I was really good at. And yeah, so I just kind of found that niche there and went to Halls High School to do a post baccalaureate to get my education degree the year after I graduated from Maryville. Yeah, or 2 years after. Yeah.
Nice, excellent. Yeah, and that's something that my brother had kind of set out to do originally, was that he was not in school necessarily for like any teacher accreditation
Yeah.
program. So I think that the typical track is like you go, you get your teacher licensure, you do your observation hours and stuff, but then you went after the fact and we're like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get post back and go do all this stuff and try it out there, which is, it's cool that you ended up there. And I've seen that. Well, tell me then about how soccer and coaching kind of led into that, because obviously those are a little bit intertwined. That was
Yeah.
a hope for you, but tell me about coaching. What was the first avenue for coaching?
Yeah. So I started off coaching, you know, I was working for $500 a month. So not technically full time, but full time is in hours. At Tennessee Wesleyan with my old goalkeeper coach, who is now the head coach at Wesleyan, Brian Walker, who's awesome dude. Still talk to him at least like once a week nowadays. He's still head coaching down at Wesleyan. Um, he taught me a bunch of stuff my freshman year before he moved on to another school to coach. And yeah, like he's probably one of the biggest reasons, and my other goalie coach, Hemont, why I'm coaching to this day. Because I was a super raw like athlete and I was a decent goalkeeper, but had no refined like capabilities. And at the college level, that doesn't really work. So it was really cool to have two coaches that were able to teach the game um, and take somebody who was really unrefined and help me be more refined. So I really appreciated that about them. And then Brian gave me a shot down at Wesleyan to coach with him as his assistant. And then I was the men's goalkeeper coach at Wesleyan for a year. Knew I didn't like, I don't know, I thought the cadence of college coaching was interesting. But then again, COVID hit January of that, and like soccer shut down. So I didn't get a full year of full-time coaching in. Nowadays I could see maybe that being an avenue that I explore in the future. But back then I was like, oh my gosh, that first season was a grind. And one, because it's your first job ever, you don't know really what you're doing the whole time.
Yeah.
And then two, you're just learning how to be an adult or live on your own, which is something I've always been good at. Is living. Come on, that's sarcasm for anybody that knows me.
That's something I've always excelled at. Yeah.
So, yeah. Very good in calm, quiet situations. No, I enjoy the adrenaline of it. I enjoy the fast pace of teaching, of coaching, and yeah, man, after Wesleyan, I knew I still wanted to coach, but I just knew that it wasn't going to be college for me full time.
Yeah, amazing. Well, one of the questions that I always like coming back to is like seeing the different kinds of experiences or professions and how they kind of lend skills to other professions. And I imagine that you're seeing this in real time with coaching and teaching, in tandem. I'm wondering how they inform each other, like how
Yeah.
um, you take lessons that you've learned in coaching and apply them to teaching and the inverse. So is there anything that comes to mind when I say that, like what do you take from the classroom onto the field and vice versa?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest point and the most effective method for teaching is just one-on-one. And there's no easy fix for like anything, right? Like it's so true. If it seems too good to be true, it is. And that's just, it is a truism, but there's a reason for that, right? Like it proves itself over and over and over again,
Yep.
right? And that comes down, you could build the best training session in the world, right? But if you don't give individual feedback during that training session, what is that? It's probably only going to hit with one or two of the kids, right? Same thing in Spanish class. Like you can't just give a grammar lesson on the board and then just say, go do it, right? Like that's just not how it works. You've got to be active. You've got to be constantly asking those leading questions, right? And helping them make informed choices and helping them answer the question for themselves, but leading them in the right path. Um, it's not an easy thing to do. I'm on year 5 or 6 of this, and it's something that I still do every day is give the answer right away when they ask a question, right? Like instead of asking that, because it's just instinct.
Mhm.
It's like you want to help somebody finish their problem or solve their problem. Um, and that's not the long route, right? That's the short and easy fix, and it's natural. But really stopping and kind of the Socratic method, I guess you would call it. But yeah, helping them, help leading them. I use it in both. I noticed it first um, in the classroom, honestly, because goalkeeper naturally is one on one. So I had never really noticed that the reason goalkeeper coaching was so effective is that it was one on one. I just kind of, that was how I coached. So
That's true, because it's just like the
yeah,
nature of the
that's just how it
position.
is.
You
Yeah,
you maybe, you maybe have 2, you maybe 3 or 4 people
exactly.
on the team that are in that position, and that because of the specialization, you're spending a lot more one-on-one time. Yeah, never thought
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. And like, so I'm am the assistant coach at my high school team. And so I do a lot more of the like formation, like the formation scheme, right? Like, what do we want to look like when we have the ball? Like, how do we want to move the ball up the field? And for a couple of years, I was like, I thought I was building these great training sessions. And, I would like make a point here and there and like, all right, let's run through that. And we run through it. And then it looked great in practice for like 5 minutes. We would scrimmage and whatever, look good. And then we get to the game and like, nobody knows exactly what's going on. I'm like, I thought we talked about this. Well, we did, but like even this year, I've probably had an individual conversation with every single position on the field, um, walking them through each kind of scenario. I mean, I'd say I've spent 35 to an hour with almost each player total
Now
in the year, just making sure they understand the situation, where they're at, and the purpose behind it, right? Because I think that's the main goal is so they can answer those questions themselves in the game. They have to understand the purpose behind it.
yeah, that's super interesting to hear you say, talking through all of the positions. Obviously, this is it's a team sport, and there's going to be things that are important to one position that apply to the whole team. If the goalkeeper's successful, that's going to lend to
Yeah.
the success of the team. But hearing you say, yeah, we've talked to every position at some point. Um, that's I don't know, like, I didn't expect that level of coverage. That's interesting to hear.
Yeah.
Um,
It like it made so much sense to me why staffs were so big in the NFL or why staffs were so big in professional teams whenever that kind of clicked for me.
mm,
Like you just have to have, and I knew this whether I knew it applied to um, classroom teaching exactly like that or not, which now I believe it does. But I mean, imagine any of the classes you were in. I was in a small school, but like teaching in public school where I had 30 to 33 kids in a class, it was so hard to get anything done. Mainly because you're putting out fires a lot of the time, right? But now I'm in a school, very lucky to be there, that I have 12 a class or sometimes 7 a class. And the just like the effectiveness of your words is like multiplied
mm,
whenever it's a smaller teacher to student ratio or coach to player ratio.
yeah, 100%. I feel like I've seen and felt that in, like, track and cross country. That at least from a buy-in standpoint, I was never a spectacular athlete, but what I found was, um, when I had started to express interest in practicing with, like, events that required, a more specialized coach, um, and spending time with, it was maybe a group of 8 to 10 of us instead of, like, all of the middle distance or long distance runners. I felt like I was more valued because I was getting feedback with them, like, after each thing. So, like, I did pole vault. I was not good,
Yeah.
but I loved doing it because, and I think in part of it was because the sessions, I was getting feedback, like, every time I jumped, um, to kind of see, like, hey, like, you need to hold your hands higher, you need to, jump with your chest out and stuff. Like, it was just, that I just kind of made that connection that, like, oh yeah, the group size probably had,
Yeah.
like, a really big impact on, like, why I enjoyed it so much more, than
Yeah.
just like, all right guys, we got laps today, like, go run 'em.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm oversimplifying it, but obviously, but
No,
um
100%.
yeah, that's a cool thing to think about. Well, kinda thinking about the, maybe going the other direction. Have you had other, specialist coaches or other position coaches kind of doing the same thing and talking with your group of, like, goalkeepers that you've kinda seen that, um, they, I don't know, the forward coaches, I don't know if you even have those, but
No,
like,
100%.
and so, like, talking through with your group, like, what does that look like?
No, I think the best way the way to be the best goalkeeper is to understand how a forward thinks, and vice versa. The best way to be a forward is to understand how a goalkeeper thinks. I played both positions in high school, and I think that's kind of the only reason I started off well at Maryville is because I understood kind of the intuition behind forward play, and pair that with the athleticism. I'll say that in quotes. I was able to make good saves, good looking saves, and stand out in that way. Right
Mm,
now, the technique wasn't there, but you don't have to have the technique if your intuition is going to serve you right,
sure.
and etc. So yeah, I mean, just anything you can do to deepen that connection and also just makes a better team connection, right? Because when you're playing a free flowing game like soccer, everybody's got to be on the same page, right? There's no pause. There are like you get corner kicks and you get goal kicks and things, but there's no time where you can really come in a huddle and talk about what's going on until halftime. And then half the game's over already,
Yeah.
right? And that's pretty bit. It's over 50% of the game is done, which for you math nerds out there is a lot. So yeah, I mean it's that communication between groups and between positions is massive. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, I'm wondering too, because you're doing coaching, at this moment at the high school level and at the college level. I wonder what it takes, for you to kind of switch your approaches. Yeah, obviously, developmentally, they're at a different spot.
Yeah.
Different life experiences. They're going through different things. What does it look like to coach high school and college athletes at the same time?
Yeah, man. It is a completely different thing, right? Like completely different thing. I don't want to say I hold the college kids more accountable, because that's not the right phrasing. But you know, at a bare minimum, they understand the game better, and so I guess we can have deeper conversations about why they made a certain decision.
Hmm.
Um, and I tend to get a little bit more upset when they make the simple mistakes, right? Whereas in high school, I know that it's more of a learning experience.
Yeah.
Um, and for college, I mean, I'm not working on technique very much for college. Like if you were 20 years old, um, unless you want to get out there and do a lot of extra work, right? We get an hour and a half for practice or 2 hours. Um, and once you hit season, you're playing every couple days. So some of those are recovery days where we don't even get to roll the ball around as a goalkeeper unit for like an hour. Technique is not the emphasis there for high school, and I do some individual trainings with like some teenagers as well, like preteens, so like 11 to 13. Um, there, I almost not exclusively focus on technique, but I work on technique almost even more. So you have to have this give and take and this balance of, okay, what's the age range? Their brain is like a sponge right now at 13 and 14. If I can get them to understand this technique and put them in a great spot, then we can talk about the situation later when their
Yeah.
brain has a deeper understanding and can kind of put those situations together. Whereas for goalkeepers in the college years, the logical reasoning is there, right? Like they can think through logically why they shouldn't play a pass there, whereas a 12-year-old is not really going to understand that
Mhm.
as much.
You don't have
So
to
the conversations
telegraph
are
it.
deeper. Yeah, exactly. The conversations are deeper, I would say, and you know the similarities though are keeping it fun. I try to make every session high energy, even if it's a recovery day, even if it's a like real light, get the ball moving, just have some catches, take some volleys. Um, everything needs to be high energy and fun, you know?
Yeah. No, 100%. Is there anything that you've done as a coach that you've kinda connected with, um, your own experience as an athlete? You're like, "Oh, that it's funny to hear this coming out of like, to hear myself saying this when I wasn't receptive to it as a kid," or is there
Yeah.
anything like that where you, you said something and then transported back to when you were running around? I'd be
Oh yeah,
interested to
absolutely.
hear what that looks like.
Absolutely. I think one moment was whenever we were deciding whether to start a player or not, and I wasn't the regular day starter. Like I was not the starter in college. I played 20, 22 games and had a decent career, but I was never the like Friday night guy, as you would say in baseball. And so I mean we had that opportunity to give a younger kid a start, and I was like, I just don't think they're ready yet, you know? And like it sucked to say that. And I absolutely like it made me stand behind the decision even more
Mhm.
because I knew how much like that matters
Yeah.
in the moment. Um was I right or not? Who knows? Right?
Yeah.
Like and that's the crazy part about coaching is you can make any decision and it could look great or it could look dumb, right? And you just don't know until you make the decision, you got to go with it. So that's something that I've learned from Pepe, which is the head coach over at Maryville as well is sometimes you just got to make a choice.
Yeah. You make the choice and stand by it, and if it's wrong, learn
Yeah.
to move on. Yeah.
That's why it's so important to do the work beforehand, right? Like that holds yourself accountable as a coach. Is your people are going to be asking you questions. Players are going to come to you for answers, and you got to have them.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. So something that I've kind of grown to love asking people was what was something that you weren't so good at initially that you've kind of grown in your own way, like since you started. You maybe you sucked at it initially, and now you've like all right, I gotta be really purposeful in how I approach like this aspect of coaching or teaching. Is
Yeah.
there one that stands out for either profession?
Yeah, I think in the classroom, just making sure um, that I set a good example of what working looks like,
Mm,
if that makes sense.
yeah,
Um, because I guess every young teacher just thinks you're going to tell them to do something and that all of them are going to do it. And that is not the case. I don't know if you knew that.
yeah,
But high schoolers like to joke around, and I taught middle school for a year, and that's a whole different can of worms. But I mean, literally, just making sure that I model the correct behavior. Behavior modeling is just seems like so important. The older I get in teaching, and I just understand the effectiveness of it more. Um, and then probably that one-on-one feedback. I do a lot more of that now than I used to. Yeah. So yeah.
nice. What's something that you do to kind of set the tone, cultivate a learning environment like in your classroom? Like I see we're my wife and I are watching I say my wife and I, Tabby. You know
Yeah.
her well. um but we're watching Abbott Elementary, and
Yeah.
big time
I haven't seen
classroom.
that, but
Oh,
yeah,
it's a really good one. I think you'd
it's
like
been
it.
recommended.
Yeah, I think especially from a teaching perspective, there'd be a lot that you would really laugh about and enjoy. Also, it's just a funny and well written show.
Yeah.
Um, all that to say, the one thing that kind of stands out to me is that like she teaches like first or second grade and is like, "Oh, you have to write the date on the board." Like
Yeah.
she's telling like a sub like they're not doing well because you're not writing the date on the board or there's something that like that it's like a grounding kind of experience. I'm wondering,
Yeah.
probably not exactly the same, it's not elementary kids, but are there things that you do in the classroom that like kind of help set the tone, like ground the kids and like help them kind of adopt that learning attitude?
Yeah, I've got two. One is more of an intermittent thing and not as often. It's only whenever I feel like we need it. The other one is I just make sure um, in Spanish every day I greet every single kid by their name and ask how they're doing and make sure they respond in Spanish. And I'll typically throw in like a new way to feel, like, how are you today? And I'll give them throughout the week. I'll give them a couple different ones that they can respond with because everybody knows bien, like, oh, estoy bien, or estoy mal, like I'm good or bad. It's like, well, all right, I can tell when you said that you weren't doing very good, so let's throw in like a different one in there. And
Yeah.
that sparks a little conversation, gets everybody going, and it lets them know that I am engaged with them in this classroom.
Nice.
And then saying goodbye and making sure I actually, look every kid in the face, look every kid in the eye, and tell them bye. That's a massive one for me. And then we will do Spanish meditation. We'll do little 5-minute meditations if I feel like the energy's way, way high. And I got a lecture for like 20 minutes or something like that on like a artwork or an artist or something like that. And I really need everybody to lock in for a little bit. We'll do a little meditation and get everybody, yeah, calm.
That's cool. What does it look like to do Spanish meditation? Is it just like taking people through breathing and we're
Yeah,
speaking in Spanish
exactly.
when it's happening, or
Yeah, when it's
anything kind of
happening. There's a
unique to
good
the
one on
culture?
YouTube. Yeah, so there's a good one on YouTube that's like this girl from Colombia or something. I believe it's Colombia, but yeah, she does all the commands in Spanish, and it's good to set the tone.
Oh, nice. Okay, that'd be kind of a fun way to like nail down like some grammar structure too. Like,
Respirar,
yeah,
breathe.
that's it. That's good. I like that. Yeah, that's fun. I remember what my freshman and AP Spanish teacher, Senor Jordan. Shout out to Senor Jordan if you're listening. That was one class that I just like really looked forward to going to. I kind of similar to you struggled with like buying in and doing my assignments and stuff.
Yeah.
But like it was hard to not be engaged in that class because of how she set the tone. So it's cool to see the ways that you're you're choosing to do that on.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, anything that you do out on the field, that then to I would imagine that there's a little bit of a ritual and a flow to
Oh.
workouts and things like that.
Yeah.
Because it's a I could kind of see some behaviors coming out in that way too. So what does that look like for the soccer field?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a lot of verbal cues in the first 5 minutes that are, allowed and that are positive. We do moving 5v2, which is like, this may get it doesn't matter. There's 7 people in a group, 2 are defending, 5 are passing it around,
Okay.
right? And if the ball pops out, the whole group's got to move, right? It's a cohesion thing, it's a teamwork thing, but it also works on your technique at the same time. And I'm not involved in that because that's their time, but we are engaged in it in the fact that like we're holding them accountable if I notice that the ball pops out and they just grab another one near them, right? It's a way to set that accountability from the beginning of the practice that like, okay, if you're not working hard enough, I'm gonna call you out on it,
Mm,
right? And it's such a simple drill. That's the good part about it is like you need to be working hard because I know it's a simple drill and it's easy to do. So we got to
yeah.
do that one right. And then I do a little reaction drill with my goalkeepers before games now that I love, where I hold the ball here and it's either a toss to the left, the right, I drop it, or I throw it. And the toss to the left is a dive to the left, the toss to the right's a dive. But sometimes I'll fake it, and then sometimes I'll put it behind my back and have to throw it from behind my back, and different things like that. So it's good. It's fun.
Nice. The
And that's like a
that
quick bang, 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 like we're going. We're starting at the edge of the box and we're going 18 yards doing that the whole time. They got to move forward the whole time, which is a principle of goalkeeping.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think that the ritual components are the things that I find myself like gravitating to. Um, not from like a superstitious standpoint, but like we've been talking about, like kind of cultivating an environment of like, okay, we're gonna work on this, we're gonna, work on this structure, the irregular,
Yeah.
conjugation, or we're gonna, work on this drill, and holding your shoulders in the right place. I have no
Yeah.
idea what it means to coach goalkeepers, but like those are the things that I feel like as a participant, as an athlete or a student, those are the things that like would be important to me. Is like, all right, on the days where I'm not feeling my best, or like I'm tired, or what have you, like those are the things that would help ground me and like get me
Yeah.
ready, get me in the right mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have learned it's not always what you say, it's how you say it. And that is very true with high school students specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, their emotional reactions are high. So you got to make sure you're coming from the right place whenever you're starting off. It does not go well if you don't start at the right spot.
Mm.
Hard to bring it back with high schoolers.
Yeah, I was feeling that at bath time this evening, with the
Yes.
children. That was it's a hard one to come back from. I definitely lost my cool.
Oh no.
I did not set a good example. But
It's like, oh
the
yeah, you want to
yeah.
throw? Daddy's going to throw the water around.
Yeah. So I don't know. I apologized, and we'll try again tomorrow.
Yep,
So
that's the best you can do.
yeah. All right. Well, I've kind of run out of questions here, but thankfully we have a
Cool.
tradition now of having each guest ask a question to the next guest. So I can just use what they've given me, and they'll generate something fun for us there. So our question comes from Nora Hill. So she was on last time. Great episode. You should give it a listen. But if you could have anything other than hair growing on your head, and what would it be?
It's got to be coffee beans.
Coffee beans.
It's got to be
Oh,
coffee beans.
that's a good one, because I feel, and this was something I was thinking about when she asked. It was like, it can't be like too terribly like yucky or obstructive, but I feel like coffee beans, like
Yeah,
until you're drying them out, doing the roasting and stuff, like pretty benign. Now, are they growing as like the
they're like
cherries?
cherries. Yeah, like the cherries. And
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I know coffee beans and like actual coffee grounds keep bugs away. I don't know if the coffee plant does. So maybe that's wrong. But when
Mm,
I gut reaction said that in my head, I was like, oh, it'll keep bugs away too.
nice.
Not that I
That's
have
good.
that problem. Not
That's a good
that there's
answer.
like 10 million bugs around me right now, but no.
Yeah. If you gave me an hour, I don't think that I would have arrived at that answer. But I'm so glad that you said it because that's such a good one. I like that a lot. Well, thank you, Nora, for that
Yeah,
question.
thanks,
I
Nora.
think that's the right answer. I wouldn't answer it any other way. Well, what question do you want to ask for whoever comes up next?
um, what dinosaur would you be?
Oh, how would you say that in Spanish?
Like, ¿qué dinosaur vas a ser?
Say,
Ah, sí.
I don't know what I'd be. Do you have an answer for that?
I can't ever remember the names, but I feel like I would like to be a Triceratops.
Nice. I would want to be kind of intermediate size. I feel
Yeah.
like I wouldn't want to be like Brachiosaurus. That just feels like a
You
lot
gotta
of
lug
pressure. I don't know.
you
Maybe
gotta
people
lug that
don't.
around all day. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
maybe people don't like bother you, but I don't
You
know.
gotta assume the T-Rex is looking for bang for his buck.
Yeah,
And I know you're big, but like if you get one, you're good for a while.
mm, very true.
So I don't know. I don't think you're completely out of the woods.
Yeah, no, 100%. Now maybe that's why you stick around with a bunch of pals.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
I don't know. I don't know though.
It's the
That's a
new
good one.
Jurassic World is coming out or Jurassic Park.
I haven't watched a lot of the new ones. I feel like, and I feel like the Jurassic Park that I've seen more than any of them is like the third one
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
like the originals. But yeah, I don't know. It's a
I've seen the
that
first a lot. And
yeah,
then not Chris Hemsworth. Is that his name?
Pratt.
No.
Chris
Yeah,
Pratt.
Pratt. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that one a ton as well. But after that, I don't know how many there are after that. I've not seen them.
Yeah, I don't know how many there are. I feel like he's got 3.
He's a
I feel like
beast.
we might be entering into territory without Chris Pratt in them as well.
No, that he's not in this new one. Scarlett Johansson is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've moved on from Pratt.
I feel like I saw the trailer or spot for it.
Hmm.
And it's different there. Well, if you've made it to this point in the podcast and you're still listening, that's awesome.
Kudos.
But what I'd like you to do is go to the Instagram post and comment a dinosaur emoji to let us know that you made it this far. That'd be a big move for you there. Well, Luke, any closing thoughts before we wrap it up for the episode?
Happy to know you, brother. Thanks
Happy.
for having me on, and looking forward to the wedding.
It's a.
And you be by my side up there.
I'm looking forward to being there, man. I'm honored to be a part of it to celebrate with you and Spence. It's such a cool thing to get to see. Well, that is going to wrap it for episode 50 of When I Was Your Age. We will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for being a part of it. It's been a really cool thing to get to do. But hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista. Hasta luego.